Welcome to the third episode of I'm Grown Now What? I'm your host, Tyree Elaine, and today we're going to talk about self care. Sometimes we don't really know what self care looks like, especially if it wasn't modeled for you growing up. You know, if you had a one parent or sometimes even two parents that just worked, you never really maybe saw what taking a break or being a little, selfish in a healthy way looks like. So I'm sure we all don't necessarily, especially if we don't know what it looks like, we don't even know where to start. So here's just some tips for you. I would say get a notebook, just one notebook, and start by making a lot of lists. So the first list I suggest writing is a gratitude list, and I'm not talking about shit that you know is gonna happen, like, oh, I'm thankful that I woke up. No, unless you have a terminal illness, you probably knew you was gonna fucking wake up. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like something serious, something like, oh, I had a good day at work. If you go to work every day and it's typically not so. Oh, they had my size shoe at this place where they don't usually have my size shoe, or oh, I was able to pay a bill and I usually struggle paying this bill or whatever. Just anything that you are sincerely happy about. And like I said, some people, I did an Instagram live and I remember I said, tell me something that you're grateful for. And a lot of people was just saying, I got clothes, I got food, I got a job. And it's just like, well, nigga, did you not have this shit yesterday? Like, what are you grateful for that's special to you? For example, I have braids right now and they are bomb. And I'm super grateful for them because I can't do them. And the girl who did them really fast. She did a really good job in a very, very good environment. That's something special and specific to me. I got a good parking space in front of her house. She lives in or Hawthorne or Inglewood where parking is bad. So I'm like, okay, this is a good day. Like, I'm grateful for these things. I ordered something from Amazon, a teapot or whatever. This shit wasn't fucked up. Sometimes Amazon just be leaving my shit outside in the rain. That didn't happen. So sincere, great, like things that you are grateful for. It doesn't have to be something that you think other people uh uh like some people say this. Oh, you should be grateful because it's children in Africa starving, so you should be grateful for anything you have. That's not authentic. Something that's going to make you authentically grateful, if that makes any sense. So start with an authentic gratitude list. Um Also positive self-talk. So let me just say this. Depending on how you speak to yourself, like when you say positive self-talk, sometimes when I tell people, like speak kind to yourself, they don't necessarily know what that even sounds like because they never even heard it. I know when I was growing up, I very rarely heard very much, or I'll say this, I heard more negative talk toward me than positive, encouraging, confident building talk to me. So therefore now I'm an adult and I'm having to learn what positive self-talk sounds like. So let me just cut to the chase. It has to be how you speak to other people. So if you speak to other people like this, like, bitch, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and oh my gosh, whatever, that's probably how you need the jargon, how you need to speak to yourself. So for example, the other day, I believe it was the very first time I came into the studio to record the very first podcast, I was incredibly nervous. And on the way over here, my aunt, she encouraged me. She sent like an encouraging text, basically saying, you need to be a voice to the voiceless. You need to, stay strong and just you're gonna do it. So just try and calm down. And just very, very nice auntie niece talk. Once I got here, I had to just really talk to myself like how I would talk to somebody else. It was a lot of, bitch, you gonna sit here and you gonna do this, you gonna do this well. Everybody is gonna love you. Everybody's gonna like it. If you fuck up, it's okay. It's your first time. Be easy. Be easy with yourself. Don't take this too, I don't wanna say too seriously because it's a serious topic, but don't take it too serious to the point where you feel like you can't accomplish it properly. You can do it because it's you doing it. I had to talk to myself like that. So positive self-talk. The other day, I was trying on some clothes and the shit just wasn't fitting. I was like, Lord, they don't make larges like how they used to. And I started feeling bad about not being able to wear what I wanted to wear. And I said, you know what? It don't matter. And I said this, I'm still all that. I'm still fucking all that. That's what works for me. So when I say positive self-talk, I mean whatever works for you. Tailor make it to you. Some people, they have these life coaches or whatever, and they speak different. Let me just be real. Sometimes you might have a therapist or something, and they be white, and they might tell you to say some things to yourself or do some things, and you like that shit is corny or whatever. What they're telling you to say, the way they might be saying it might be corny, but the things that they're telling you to do is not corny. It's actually very helpful. You just have to tailor make it to however your personality, if that makes any sense. The next thing is check in with yourself. Ask if you're okay, especially if you never have or rarely do. Stop and go like, am I okay? Because the same thing as having a car. You could have a car for 3 years if you ain't never took it in. Something is fucking wrong with it. You need to take it and you need to check in with yourself. And I don't mean just like a physical checkup. I mean just kind of like randomly, if you're not thinking about nothing, if you want a break at work or if you're just at home not doing nothing, just kind of say, are you okay? Stop waiting for somebody else to ask you if you're good. I remember I used to be so mad at the world because I expected them to just ask me if I was okay so I could be like no, or if I'm being real, if I would just say, no, I'm cool. And then they ask me again, no, I'm cool. And then they ask me again, okay, this is what's wrong. Don't nobody got time for that shit. And even if you do have good friends who check in with you every now and again, it's not their responsibility. And furthermore, you might hide it so well, whatever is wrong with you, that they might not even know to ask if anything is wrong. So it just makes sense to check in with yourself. And, some people might not know what that looks like. There was a time not too long ago where I said to myself, like, what do you want to do right now? Like, what do you feel like doing right now? And right then at that point, it was making a flour quesadilla, eating that shit in the tub, and watching Pepper Ann. I brought my motherfucking laptop in the bathroom with me. It's my bathroom. I would never eat in a public bathroom, but it's my fucking bathroom. Like what? So I brought my laptop in there with my footstool, turned on Pepper Ann on the YouTube, got me a flour quesadilla with some hot sauce and some sour cream on a styrofoam plate, and I ate that bitch in the tub, and I had a wonderful hour. That's what I felt like doing. That's what I felt like would make me feel better, if that makes any sense. Obviously, that's not for everybody, but you have to stop sometimes and ask yourself, what would make you feel better right now? The next thing is make time. I know some people might be listening to this saying, I don't have time. I ain't got time. Who gonna give me this time? Bitch, ain't nobody gonna give you no motherfucking time. The same way you book an appointment to get a haircut. I don't know if guys book appointments to get haircuts that often, but the same way you might book an appointment to go get your nails done or book an appointment to go do anything, you need to set aside time to do these things. It's your emotional and mental well-being. Just because we can't necessarily see it, it has so much of an effect on us, and you have to make it as important as other things that you make important. Um, you can't not afford. Some people go, well, I can't afford to take off work to do. You can't not afford to, because let me tell you something. When you drop dead, that job is going to send you some flowers. Yeah, well, not you. They're going to send your family some flowers, and they're going to replace you the same day. So you have to care about yourself. This is self care. Um, Sometimes because sometimes people don't know what it means to take time to I have friends who are writers. They wake up at 5 in the morning to go work out so they can be at work at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever. If they are not able to do it in the morning, they'll do it at night after work. But damn it, they do it. They make time to do it. And the same way that they make time to go work out for their physical well-being, it's like you have to make time for your mental and emotional well-being. What does that look like? It it kind of depends on you. For some people, it may look like being still, like literally sitting in silence so you can find out what's on your mind, so you can think about what you be thinking about and examine whether or not those type of thoughts are pushing you in the direction that you want to go. Sometimes it could look like meditation or prayer to, and I don't mean prayer where it's like, oh, God, give me this and God, give me that and oh, thank you, God. I mean prayer where you listen in response to whatever God you pray to. Sometimes it's sitting and taking a couple deep breaths. Sometimes it's literally just the act of booking a therapy or a counseling session. You'd be surprised. I remember the first time I booked a therapy session, I was like, "Ooh, well, at least I know that I'm gonna get some help soon." Because I knew something was wrong with me. I just didn't know what was wrong with me. And when I like took a lunch break, I'm sorry, on my lunch break at work, I just made the appointment. And in making the appointment, a little bit of relief just hit me, just simply in booking the appointment. I don't know. It depends on you, but you have to at least give yourself the time and then use that time to figure out what that mental and emotional self check in looks like. The next thing is retrain and reparent yourself, retrain your mind, and be easy with your mistakes. Whenever you have a negative thought about something that you did wrong or forgot to do or whatever, just tell yourself right away it's okay. Don't make a big deal of it. You know, sometimes when like I remember when I was a kid, if I forgot something or if I did something wrong or if I spilled something, it was like, oh god damn, how the fuck you do that? Oh my goodness. And I get that we're, you know, people are human, adults are human, whatever, or oh, just like a lot of that. It makes you very timid about doing shit because you might be afraid of making that mistake. So it's like, well, maybe I'll just be, you know, easy about just doing things that I enjoy because God forbid I make a mistake and somebody goes, "Oh shit, goddamn, how the fuck you do that?" Be easy with yourself. The same way you see a kid, a baby walking, taking its first steps, you're not gonna be like, God damn, you fucking failed. You're gonna be like, oh, it's okay. Encourage yourself. It might be the first goddamn time in your life you've ever been encouraged, and you might have to do that to yourself. Don't look around for other people to do it. If they do it, if other people around you are encouraging, whatever, that's great. But you have to learn how to do that with yourself. Be patient with yourself. The next thing is be your biggest fan. Watch your own work like it's not you. When you know, I've been doing stand up for 11 years. Do you know the first time I actually sat down and watched a lot of my stand up was this year, the 11th year that I've been doing it. I was looking at other people's on Instagram. They have these like highlights. So they're basically a bunch of stories put together in groups, high in highlight form. So this highlight might be all of my stories pertaining to work. This highlight might be all of my stories pertaining to school and so on and so forth. So I wanted to make one pertaining to stand up, which means I had to sit up and watch all my stand up. And you know what? I sat there. I said, "Wow, I'm pretty good." That was the first time I actually sat there and watched myself. And I became a fan of myself. Ain't nobody a bigger fan of me than fucking me. And the same goes for you. If you a writer, sit up and read your shit like you ain't never read your shit before. If you a singer, listen to your voice and bop to that shit. If you a dancer, watch yourself dance. Be amazed by yourself. Admire yourself. You know, if other people do it, that's great. But who said you can't join in? Um, Learn how to have fun and enjoy your life. I literally just learned maybe 2 years ago how to enjoy my life, how to have fun. I did not know how to do that shit. I only knew how to get up and go to work and go to school and be responsible. As far as enjoying myself, I really didn't know how to do that. I would join in with other chicks, you know, if they had their little boring ass fucking dinner parties where all we do is sit up and text and be on social media, but we fucking hate each other. I would sit up and do that. I didn't enjoy it, but it was some shit to do. I remember literally one of my friends at the time, she said, "Don't you want to go to so and so's birthday?" And I was like, "No, not really." She said, "I mean, it'll give you an excuse to like put on something cute and be around a bunch of bitches you don't feel like being around." And I was like, in relation to everything else that's going on in my life, that actually sounds pretty good because I have nothing else going on but work and school. So yeah, putting on something cute, taking pictures with a bunch of bitches who I don't want to be around all day. Yeah, that actually sounds like fun, but it wasn't. I just straight up didn't know how to really enjoy myself, how to really have fun. So I would say make a list of some shit that you enjoyed doing. I remember when I did it, I was sitting in front of a blank page for a good 45 minutes because I didn't know even where to start. So I just started with shit that I wanted to do as a kid, which brings me to my next point. Feed your inner child. All the shit that you love to do as a kid, that you wish you could do as a kid, that you wanted to see or eat or drink or listen to, bitch, you grown now. Or if you're a dude, nigga, you grown now. Or if you're not black, people, you're an adult now, and you got you can do whatever you want to do. So, and I know that you don't want to make a habit out of sitting up eating Oreos all night, but if you just want to enjoy yourself, you can do that. Go back up to, I remember I went and I was shooting something for True TV, the laugh tracks thing, and we shot across the street from this elementary school, and we was on this, or I'm sorry, at this elementary school, and we was playing tetherball. It was so funny. Me and the girl who played me in my episode, we were on a merry-go-round. Like, I hadn't done no shit like that in forever. I remember me and my homegirls recently, we was playing double dutch at the park, and then when all the kids left and it was dark, we was on the swings. I was like, I need to do this more often. All this shit that I enjoy doing, all the shit that I wanted to get or I wanted to try or whatever as a kid, now I'm able to do that. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I can't do that. When I was younger, I used to always want to have like a crazy hair color, but I felt like I wasn't old enough to do it, obviously, as a kid. So I was like, when I get grown, I'm gonna do it. But then I got grown and I was like, well, I can't do that. I gotta be professional. Fuck that. I'm in a career now where I can literally look however the fuck I want to look. So right now I have teeny tiny ass red bomb braids, and I'm loving every minute of it. The next thing is make a list of all the things you like best about yourself, physical and personality wise, and list the things that you like least about yourself and see if any of those things can be fixed. If not, learn to love it. For example, I had a list, what was on my list of physical things that I didn't like was my nose at the time. And I remember I had a relationship coach, more like her name is Annie C. White. Look her up. She's the truth. Seriously, she done made me cry, laugh, brought me up, brought me to all of that stuff. But she definitely has helped. But I remember we had a conversation about getting a nose job, and she said, "So are you gonna get it?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know." She said, "Well, make a decision because you can't just go through life hating something that's on you. Like either fix it or don't." And I was like, I don't think I want to. And honestly, the reason why is because I was nervous that it would be botched, or I was nervous that I wouldn't look like me still, or whatever, despite the praise that whatever plastic surgeon anybody was trying to uh refer me to. It was just always this nervous thing. And I was thinking, why don't I like my nose in the first place? Like, who told me this shit was too big on a black? I'm black. So sometimes our features are bigger than others. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna sit up and I'm gonna learn how to just love myself in pictures. I'm not gonna filter that shit. I'm gonna just sit there and look at it and go, it's supposed to look like that. I'm supposed to look like this, and I'm beautiful. This is beautiful. We live in a new age where we can now determine the new standard of beauty, and shit, I say it's having a big nose, or just because that's what I have. It can on somebody else, they be having a small one. That's what's up. I don't think that's ugly. It's just that I used to think I was ugly because of my nose. But now I done got it pierced. I used to think it was too big to get pierced. Yeah, like I've grown since then. Personality wise, I was recently talking to somebody about another person who I don't like. And I was explaining to them why I don't like that person. And then after the conversation was over, I was like, you know what? Because it was like, okay, you know how when somebody goes, well, why don't you like that person? And I go, well, they did X, Y, and Z to me back in 2018. Okay, that should be the end of the conversation, right? No, with me it was like I just kept on, and then the bitch did this, and she ain't even this, and then da, 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 and it just sounded like gossip, and I didn't like the way I sounded saying all these negative things about this person. I'm not gonna try to like the person all of a sudden because she still did what she did, and it is what it is. But I didn't have to go that hard, so I said, you know what, I don't like that I do this like talking shit about somebody. They did some fuck shit to me, but I could have just kept it as concise as possible, and then that was it, and then moved it on to something positive. So I said, I'm gonna change that right away. um Moving into the next thing is ensuring your spirit and your energy is pure and authentic. So I know some people who they have these meetings like to see if they want to hire you or to see if they want to work with you. And real talk, it has nothing to do with your ability. They might very well know that you are fully capable of doing the job or whatever. They want to see what your energy is about, and you can't fake that. Like if your energy is pure and authentic to you, and you come in and they say, I don't like your energy, let me just tell you something. That means nothing's wrong with you. That just means your energy could be great and their energy could be trash. Yeah, they gonna say, I don't like, his or her energy. I didn't like your energy. That doesn't mean you need to change it. That just means you don't need to work with them. Some people are just not compatible. You know, I can go and meet with somebody and they say that they don't like my energy, I'm not going to change. That just means I'm going to meet with somebody else, and that, so on and so forth, to the point where somebody is going to say, oh, I love your energy or whatever, and we'll work together. And it's just as simple as that. You don't have to change to acclimate to something that you want. You just have to know that as long as you stay true to who you are, and it sounds so cliche, eventually the right people will come around you, but you got to stay true and authentic to who you are. And that doesn't mean go around being an asshole or a jerk. That just means and I hope nobody is an authentic asshole or jerk. That just means don't be afraid to express yourself the way you want to express yourself, or be who you are. Wear what you want to wear, within reason, and so on and so forth. I just want to talk about my friend. Her name is Janae. So every time I see Janae, every time I have seen Janae, I get excited because her energy. I just love her energy. She's so sweet. And I remember thinking to myself, I hope people, when they see me, they feel the same way I feel when I see Janae. But even if they don't, oh fucking well. Like, I know that I'm as authentic as I can. For me, I know that I it would be nice if everybody liked me, but I know that it's possible, but it's not probable, and that's okay. The next thing is and this is incredibly like vague, but love yourself. And I mean it like this: love yourself as you are on the way to where you're going. So, for example, when I was trying to lose weight, I couldn't hate heavier set me. I guess I could say I was 190 something. I was close to 200 pounds, but I carried it well. So, that is what it is. But I still carried it, and I still didn't like the way I looked. I can't. I can't hate the way I look on the treadmill going, I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself right now, thinking that I'm going to lose weight in a healthy manner. I have to be grateful that thicker me is even making the decision to get to thinner me. I had to have positive imagery about my future self, what I'm gonna look like, where I'm gonna work, how I'm gonna be dressing, what I'm gonna be driving, the type of character traits I have. I had to think about basically the type of woman I wanted to be. And it was funny because this all hit me at 30, because I looked at myself and I was like, this is not at all who I thought I was gonna be or what I was gonna have. This is not the life that I thought I was gonna have. And so I had to go, okay, well, where do I see myself in a couple years or in a year? What does that even look like? What am I going to even look like? How am I going to interact with people? How am I going to handle adversity? So on and so forth. I had to picture that and then gradually work towards getting there. And what's funny is, now that I have like older women in my life, they're like, oh, bitch, but when you get there, it's going to be another, version of yourself. You could say, oh, this is who I want to be at 35. Okay, well, you're going to get there. And then at 45, you're going to have another. It's like an evolution. It's like a journey, So it's just best to enjoy the journey. I could see myself being like this now, or I could see myself being like this later. And I know I keep saying so on and so forth, but I'm reading notes. So on and so forth. Um, Make a list. This is super duper important. Make a list of your favorite things. I realized that I didn't know what my favorite things were. I had made it a thing to acclimate or adjust to whomever was in my life to their favorite things. I was literally like Vanessa Bell Calloway in Coming to America, when it was like, what's your favorite food? Well, what's yours? Yep, that's mine too. I was with a dude who, I'm incredibly physically affectionate, right? But I was with a dude who told me that he hated holding hands. Oh, me too. I fucking holding hands. Who does that? Bitch, me. But I sat up and pretended that I didn't like holding hands. And this is a very, small example, because I wanted to be with him. He would tell me he didn't like certain things. Oh, I didn't like it either. He loves the Steelers. I don't even fucking watch football, but here I am with a Steelers jersey on. I know what the fuck is going on, who got the ball or whatever. But I'm putting on because I didn't know myself. I knew myself in relation to other people who I wanted in my life to validate me. So I was like, well, what color do I like? And what's funny is, my first time doing this, once again, sat in front of the notebook for about maybe 15 or 20 minutes before I could write anything down, because I'm like, well, is this the right answer? Is it yellow? No, it's not yellow. Is it green? Bitch, just fucking write something. You can't get these things wrong. I should have prefaced this whole podcast by saying you cannot get any of these things wrong. Write down something. It doesn't matter. Whatever you like. People ask me what my favorite color is all the time. I go, well, sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's black. Pick one. I'm like, man, whatever. What the fuck you gonna do if I don't pick one? I don't have one favorite show. It's Martin, it's Living Single, it's fucking Jamie Foxx, it's Wayans Brothers. It's all of them. Well, if you could pick one, I won't because I'm grown and I have cable and streaming. Which to watch for the rest of my life, probably Martin or Family Matters or whatever. You can't get it wrong. I don't know why I had it dead set back then, and I'm saying back then like it wasn't earlier this year. It was earlier this year that I was doing all this, but I didn't know why I had it dead set that it had to be an answer, and it had to be the right answer. I don't know where that came from, but who knows? Maybe there are others out there like that who experienced that same thing. So I will say this: make a list of your favorite colors, your favorite songs, your favorite movies, your favorite shows, artists, books, places to go, animals, whatever. If it's your favorite, excuse me, whatever, write it down. Your favorite anything. And at the very least, this list can make you smile whenever you look at it. At the very least. I will say the next thing is to get to know yourself, what you like, and be honest about these things. Sometimes we say that we like things and we really don't. We just learn how to deal with them. It's like, oh, I like dressing. I hate dressing. But people around me love dressing, so it's like, well, I don't want them to talk shit. Fuck that. Let them talk shit. I don't like dressing. And I'm talking about dressing, stuffing, Thanksgiving dressing specifically. Some people love it, and I used to feel bad because I didn't love it. And I fucking don't. And it's okay. I love mac and cheese, and I'm still a loving person. I'm still myself, whatever. And this is an incredibly elementary type example. The next thing is to cut off people who don't support your growth and make you feel nervous about it. Oh, I'm sorry, not make you feel nervous about it. I am reading. What I meant to say was cut off people who don't support your growth. And if you feel nervous about it, understand this. Certain parts of you have to die in order for new parts of you to live. For example, the timid Tyree had to die in order for this Tyree to come up here and do this podcast, and who knows what else in the future. But there were certain things that I just would have felt like I wasn't able to do. My mom used to make me feel like I couldn't get a dog. Not, oh, it's maybe not right, it's not the right time for you to have a dog because you don't have proper like a house, or you don't have anybody at the house to make sure that he goes out or he or she goes out every day, whatever. No, you just can't. Like, I was incapable of doing so. And it made me feel like timid, like, oh, I'm incapable of doing something. And once again, this is a very elementary example, but now I feel like if I wanted to go out and get a dog, I'll fucking figure it out and make it work. As opposed to, oh, things have to be like this. And or, like, if I wanted to have a baby, I could have a baby right now. And I would feel like I'm capable, I'm confident enough to be able to figure it out. I'm not married, but I'm pretty sure that I could figure it out. I have friends around me who have figured it out. And it's one of those things where you can't sink and swim at the same time. You can't have these negative thoughts about yourself that you can't do something and fucking do it. Like, you have to kill that shit. So coming along what comes along with that sometimes is cutting off people who feed the timid part of you, who feed the and when I say timid, I'll say this: feed the old part of you, feed the part of you that you don't like about yourself anymore. You got to cut off those people who are feeding the monster that you're trying to die, that you're trying to kill, so that you can be the woman or the man that you want to be. You cannot be both. The other thing is this: when you cut these people off, let me be very clear. I am estranged from certain members of my family, the majority of the members of my family who I grew up with. However, I am not isolated. I just want to make that very clear. Some people think I just cut off my family and I'm just by myself and not doing nothing. No, I have for every person, for every family member who I lost, I gained another that supports me in the manner that I need to be supported. I still have my uncle, my biological uncle, and he is kind of like, you know, he is, I don't, how can I put this? He's my mother's brother, but I know that he could be my dad if I needed him to be my dad, if that makes any sense. If I need for him to be like a cousin, or if I need him to be my uncle or whatever. So all in all, I'm not isolated. And the next point I'm going toward is to allow other people into your life who do support the direction that you're going into, the new direction that you're going into. And you you'll know that they're the ones who are supposed to be in your life because they support your growth, and don't want nothing in return because they're self satisfied. So a way to know if they're good for your self growth is if they're not manipulating you to think that you have to call them back or you have to do certain things. Like these new people in my life, some of these people are not new, they're just people who I haven't spoken to in a long time. Like I have an aunt, Nadine, I hadn't spoken to her in a long time, but when I did speak to her, we just picked up like right where we left off, and now she's my mom when I needed to be my mom, she's my aunt when she needs to be, when I needed to be my aunt, she's whatever similar to my uncle. And then I have another aunt, Tamara, who's also my agent, who's also my friend. And these are people in my life who are older, and they are kind of sort of like my new family. I have my best friend. She's here with me today. I have my best friend. Like I have another friend, Catherine. She's supposed to be coming to do the podcast, the next episode of the podcast. Like I'm seeing what I do have as opposed to, oh, I don't have my mom in my life anymore. I don't have my aunts in my life anymore. Like I have these other people, but I had to allow them in, and to be who they are, my new family, so to speak. So, and I know it might be difficult, especially when you cut people off. You might have a trust issue. Like, I don't know who else. Well, what if these new people come in my life? Think positive. If 9 times out of 10, if you're going towards the direction of a new self, the new people who come in your life, you're going to be meeting them on the way to your new self. So they're most likely going to come in your life to add value to be this new person. And and it might be a little bit of time between you being isolated, so to speak, to the new people coming into your life, where you're gonna have to support yourself. And it's okay, it's totally okay, because you're gonna have to do this anyway. You're gonna have to learn how to trust yourself. There might be times where you want advice. There was a situation that I had a few days ago where I needed advice. It was like maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. Everybody I knew was at work, but I still called them. Nobody answered, and I didn't feel. Now 3 years ago, had that happened, I'd have been like, nobody loves me, nobody cares, everybody's busy, blah blah blah. I'm so alone. Now it was like, well, everybody's busy. Let me defer back to my first instinct, my first wise instinct, because sometimes our first instinct be like, beat that bitch ass, and that's not wise. But sometimes, when you just kind of defer back to your own self, you go, okay, what do I want to do in this situation? Okay, you know what? I'm going to make this choice. And even without having advice, and it's okay, you know? I will say this also. If you, somewhere in my notes, I say to get a mentor, or, I'll say this even with your new family, or, your new like tribe or whatever. don't don't rely too heavily on them, because a good tribe will always have you defer back to yourself. For example, a few days ago when I needed advice and I was like, okay, nobody's available right now, let me see, what do I want to do? Eventually, all of them called me back, and I explained to them, the situation, and their basic answers were all the same. Well, what did you think to do? Well, what was your first thought to do? So it makes me more confident in myself. The next thing is, oh, I wanted to add something to that, learning how to trust yourself. If you fuck up, it's okay. That just means you're learning something. And that's what we're here to do. That's what we are on this earth to do. Doesn't just because you failed at something, that doesn't make you a failure. It makes you more knowledgeable about what not to do. So the next time you do it, you can do it better. Um, understand that all of this will take time, and this is a journey. There's no real destination. Enjoy your beautiful evolution. All of this is like a beautiful puberty, but beautiful. My puberty wasn't beautiful, but this puberty now is like a beautiful evolution. Go in knowing, if you go in at the beginning, this is also something that I probably should have prefaced this whole podcast with. You cannot get any of this wrong, and you cannot get it all done. That's something that I learned from this other podcast that I listened to. And another thing is, if you ever find yourself sad about something, let yourself feel it. Don't fucking run. Allow yourself to sit up and feel that sadness, because it's a human emotion. You're multifaceted. You're not here to just be happy 24/7, 24/7. Sometimes you get sad, sometimes you get mad, sometimes you get disappointed. It's all a part of life. And you know, For me, what I have to tell myself when I get sad, just because I didn't know how to cope with the emotion of sadness, is it'll be okay. Like literally, that's just something super simple. This past Thanksgiving, I was crying. I talked about this on the second podcast. I was crying about something, and I had to just say, "You'll be okay. You'll be okay. You'll be okay." Even while I was crying, I was just thinking to myself, "You'll be okay. You'll be okay." And I remember thinking, it was like old me was like warring with new me. Old me was like, well, what if you're not okay by tomorrow? It was like, well, if not tomorrow, you'll be okay the next day. But give yourself time to feel these emotions. Most likely you won't be sad, 3 or 4 days in a row, especially if you allow yourself that time to feel like that. When you try to rush getting out of, a sad feeling, it's like you still feel how you feel. That's just like if somebody kicked you in the knee, or if you hit your foot on the bed and you trying to rush getting out of the pain, like it hurt. You're human. Feel it. Now you might want to do something obviously to alleviate the pain. Um, and I'm not talking about like anything stupid, but or illegal or whatever. I'm just talking about like not allowing yourself to feel sad for days and days and days. Like do something in a healthy manner to alleviate it, but don't ignore it. Don't act like, no, I'm cool. No, I'm cool. Don't do that. That don't make you strong. That don't make you it just makes you a fraud because you're human and you're acting like you're not human. And I'm talking to myself, old me, kind of sort of, or any remnants of old me. The next thing is be incredibly comfortable with people talking shit about you, like swim in that shit. I grew up, for the most part, everybody liked me. And I didn't know what it felt like for somebody to not like me. And then even when I got maybe to be about my 20s, if somebody didn't like me, I would want to know why and what I could do to fix it, even if it wasn't my fault. Like, well, I just didn't know how to take somebody not liking me. Like, oh, well, what can I do? Like, how can we be cool? Whatever, whatever. It wasn't until my family, and I mean now, like I done fought the big boss, like at the end of the video game, where it's like anybody could fucking get it. They don't like me and I don't like them, and that's okay. The world will still turn, the sun will still rise, and still set, and everything will still be fine. But I can't go where I want to go in my career, even in life, worried about if motherfuckers is gonna like me. It's okay if some people don't fuck with me. It's really okay. Um, the hmm. Oh. What when I say this, I mean when I say don't be careless about. Wait, what did I say? Be incredibly comfortable with people talking shit about you or not liking you. That is not a blank check for you to be an asshole or a jerk. That just means be you, and if somebody has something to say, don't run back in the house and change. This is a very, very like fine line, because sometimes your friends might say, bitch, you kind of look crazy, or you might look, inappropriate for this particular situation or whatever. But at the end of the day, if it's true to you, if it's true to your spirit, do that. Don't be moved by other things, if that makes any sense. I hope that makes sense. I hope you can, understand what I'm trying to say when I say that from my point of view, being somebody who didn't know how to take when somebody didn't like me, or I would change based on, somebody else's opinion or whatever. Don't do that, is what I mean. Um, the next thing is rest. Take a break. Literally open your calendar and search for the next available day that you ain't doing shit, and ensure that you're not doing shit. Sometimes when people ask us like, well, what are you doing today? Well, I ain't doing shit. Well, come kick it. Well, now you doing shit, and now you won't have no time to rest. It's okay. Sometimes we have FOMO, that's fear of missing out. And it's like, well, I don't want to not go to this party because what if something crack and I miss it. You need rest, especially the older you get. You need rest. I was doing so much in my 20s. Now I look forward to a day off and I mean, not a day off to go run errands and wash clothes and shit. I mean, a day off to not do anything, to literally just sit in silence or sit up and watch I Love Lucy all day. You have to, another thing, book like that. Book an appointment like that. Open a fucking fake ass style seat for self-care, for not doing shit, so that you know for sure that it's to not do anything. It's not to like party or not to even like go out if you're not trying to go out. Make sure that you take time to look at beautiful things, Like if I'm from LA and it is atrocious the amount of times I go to the beach. I probably have gone to the beach and I'm from here, born and raised, ain't never lived nowhere else. It's tourists who probably come here and within a month have been to the beach more times than I. So I have to like make it like a mission to, make time to go to the beach or look at the beautiful mountains or whatever. We're here to enjoy the beauty of life. We're not just here to fucking get up and go to work every goddamn day. We're here to enjoy our lives as well. It's just sometimes we don't have nobody to tell us that. So I'm gonna tell you, you are here to enjoy the fuck out of your life, whatever that looks like to you. Yes, you're here to be responsible, but make sure that you're not so imbalanced. The next thing is if you don't have anybody to talk to, uh journal about your day or do a voice note type journal. So when I was breaking up with my ex, like one of the many times that I was breaking up with my ex, that was who I was talking to on a regular basis. I mean, every single day. I come home from work, on my way to work, on my lunch breaks, whatever. After work, I would sit up and just every day I got used to telling him about my day. I got used to telling him about whatever, just sitting up on the phone with him. And when I would try to cut him off, the several times that I would cut him off or whatever, we would just break up or things like that, I would feel like I didn't have nobody to talk to. So it's like, well, bitch, talk to yourself. Get you a journal, a cute little diary, or if you're a guy, um, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying might be weird for guys to do, but I mean, if you really are not okay, you'll do it. Or if you really feel lonely, like you don't have anybody to talk to, you'll make a voice note. Don't nobody got to hear it. You just have to sometimes get it out and talk about your day just because that's what you've been doing with somebody else. It's something to do in lieu of this thing that might not be the healthiest. I also hope that makes sense. The next thing is have goals or something to get excited about, even if they're super small. And I mean, even if they're super duper small, and look the shit up online. You might be able to knock out some in that day. And if you can't, get excited about the fact that one day you will, and don't worry about how. For example, one of my goals is to go to Africa. I've never been. I want to go to South and West Africa. I don't have the means to do that right now, but one day I will. I don't know when, but I'm sure I will. So I'll be looking online. Oh, I want to stay here. It's literally the same shit I used to do when I was a kid with the Toys R Us catalog. Oh, I want this fake ass kitchen. It's so funny how I used to want a fake ass kitchen and I don't even use my real ass kitchen. But anyway, I used to circle like, oh, I want this particular doll. Oh, I'm going to play with it like that. Or, oh, I want this toy or this thing or this Barbie dream house or whatever. I'm literally doing the same thing, but on the computer, I'll be looking like, oh, the Marriott charged this for, Monday through Thursday, so I could do that. Or, oh, they have this event going on during this time of year. Maybe when I do go, I'll book this time of year. Like just something to get excited about. I know what it's like to wake up every day and not have a shit to be excited about because all you doing is going to work. And I had a good ass job and was in school and wasn't doing stand up, still not excited about shit. None of those. I wasn't excited about finishing school. Wasn't excited about, work. Wasn't excited about stand up because I was doing the same shit every day. So you gotta not wait for nobody to help you switch it up. Like, put something in front of you. Get a change of scenery. Even if you can afford to go get an Airbnb for the weekend that's in your town, go do that shit. Sometimes you just need a change of scenery. The next thing is feed yourself encouragement and ignore your self doubt. So sometimes just by nature, innately, we'll doubt ourselves. We'll want to do something. For example, the trip to Africa. Well, you're gonna need shots, and what if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if you ain't got nobody to fuck all that? Ignore all that. What if it goes right? The opposite end of that same stick is, well, what if I don't need no shots? What if I go out there and I have, you know I was about to say 40 friends. I don't even have 40 friends. But, just the opposite. Instead of going, what if nobody wants to go with me? Say, what if so many people want to go with me? I got to go wait. You know? Like just the opposite end of whatever negative thought that you're thinking. Um, so in certain things that you want to do in your life, the next thing is ignoring fear and ignoring making a mistake. Lean into making a mistake. So I'm gonna give y'all, I hope I didn't talk about this in the second episode, but who cares? I'm gonna give you this example. Me and my friend, we went ice skating. We were maybe like 21 or something. I remember we went ice skating in Culver City. And we were so scared of falling that we couldn't even enjoy skating. And we was just we weren't even really skating. We were like taking these small bitch ass steps on the ice. This random little 11-year-old white girl comes up and she's like, "Are you guys afraid of falling?" And we're like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, if you purposefully fall, it won't seem as difficult because you know what to expect in getting up. You know what I mean? You know that it's really not that bad." And I remember we were about to fall, me and my homegirl, my friend Rachel, we were gonna fall and we were so conscious of how bad it was gonna hurt our butts. We were like, oh shit, like, oh, we know our butts are gonna hurt. And so we fall, and surprisingly, the pain was in the palms of our hands when we were getting up from the ice. Like, we didn't have any gloves. So we're literally pushing down on ice, and that shit like numbed our hands. So we take off our ice skates, go to the car. We have some little, gloves in the car randomly. And so we put the gloves on and we put our skates back on. It was so funny. We didn't see the white girl. And we was like, was that an angel or some shit? But either way, we weren't afraid. We could enjoy skating because we weren't afraid of falling. Like, we leaned into it. It was like one of those things where it was like our worst nightmare. Once again, an elementary example, but falling in, but we'd experienced this. So now it's like, okay, so what? Now we can do it. Now we can enjoy skating without being worried about, oh, what if this happened? What if that happened? Um, the next thing is love yourself and don't be afraid to spend money on you. Self love is just important as paying a bill. Like, it's okay to invest in yourself. Get therapy if you need to and cut off anybody who got some negative shit to say. If you had a broken arm and wanted to go to the doctor, they would not talk shit about that. So they do not need to talk shit about you going to seek help, mental health. You're not crazy. You're smart. The next thing is stop being mad at people for not loving you, especially if you're not even sure if you love yourself. If you have any problem in any type of relationship, always start with you. Even if you're in a relationship with a whole asshole, you determine how that asshole affects you, and whether or not you continue to put yourself in a relation in a relationship, in a position to deal with them. It's you. It all starts with you. It all ends with you. Um, I the next thing is and I don't even know if this is right, but this is just how I deal with things. I am the leave queen. If I'm uncomfortable with something, I will give my person my keys and I will leave. I will not explain anything to anybody. There are people who they probably don't know why the fuck we don't talk no more. It's 99% of the time it's because they made me feel uncomfortable about something within our relationship, and I felt like I'll play out a conversation like, damn, can I talk to this person about, us or whatever? And typically if I feel like I can, then I will. But if I feel like I can't, then I won't. And I just will stop talking to the person. And I'm sure there's a better way, but hey, maybe on the fifth or sixth or seventh podcast, I will have learned a better way to deal with it. But for now, if you need to leave, leave. I do not, these days at this age, I don't argue a lot back and forth. I don't do a lot of back and forth. A decision to leave is much more powerful than trying to get somebody to fucking act right. Just fucking leave. The next thing is allow yourself to be angry in a healthy manner. Blow off steam. It is okay to be angry about something that makes you angry. Figure out what works for you. Box, go run, jack off, sleep, go to the batting cages, dance. Figure out healthy ways to allow your anger to pass because you will not be there forever. Understand that it needs to pass, but you need to give it a healthy opportunity to pass. The next thing is get a mentor, an older person or a person who has what you want. For example, I wanted to be a writer, so I got a writing mentor. So, but like I said about the family stuff, your new family, don't heavily rely on this person. You're not supposed to be this person junior. You're supposed to just get what you need as far as like, oh, okay, thank you for giving me this tip about that. Thank you for giving me this, experience of yours so that I can apply it maybe to my experience, even if it's different. But for sure, get a mentor, especially if you're a man. Oh my gosh. And I know it might be difficult. So, boo, whoever you are, male listening, you might have to be your own mentor. Before I got real mentors, I had to be my own mentor. I had to think about what would 40-year-old Tyree do? What would 50-year-old Tyree do? And then all these like women came in my life who are 40 and 50 that don't look it, but then they came in my life to kind of assist me in that way. But if you are a gentleman, please get an older male mentor. If you don't know one, you might have to kind of sort of do what I did and think about, well, do I want to be living like this till I'm 40 and 50? No. Okay, well, what is your 40, what is your ideal version of yourself look like? And then start walking that shit out. The next thing is trust yourself. Trust yourself, not just your brain. So I went to this Kundalini yoga place, and the guy who was teaching, he was talking about how when we were our earliest versions of ourselves, like Homo sapiens and Homo erectus, when we were at our earliest versions of humanity, we had three brains: the brain in our head, the brain in our heart, and the brain in our stomach, our gut. So over time, we have given way too much power to the brain in our head. If we don't have it all figured out, then we can't do it. Forgetting that we have intuition, the brain in our gut, and we have, another type of intuition, the brain in our heart. We could, back then, we could use our gut, our stomach brain, to walk up to a plant and just by looking at it, know for sure whether or not it was food, medicine, or poison. Just trusting ourselves. And as far as our intuition with our hearts, there's certain people, it's vibes, what the kids call vibes. And we can just kind of know when a person is, what they are, whatever, but we have to trust that shit. The next thing is see beauty in your own spirit and in the spirit of others. Legit, take time to see the beauty in ourselves. Sometimes we don't do that because we're us. Most of us don't spend a lot of time in front of mirrors or thinking about ourselves. We're thinking about other motherfuckers, whatever. Spend time to think about you. Think about you like you're not you. Think about, just the beauty in yourself. It'll be so much easier to see the beauty in others. And I don't mean just physical, when you see the beauty in yourself. The next thing is, if you don't like something about yourself, fucking change it right away and get accountability if you need to. Back up when I was talking about gossip and how I was like, I don't really like talking bad about people unnecessarily. I asked the dude who I'm seeing right now, yo, if you hear me talking shit about somebody, like, and it sounds like man, like gossip, like, say something. Like, say to me, you said you wasn't gonna do that, and then I'll remember and I'll stop. But I needed accountability because sometimes, you don't realize you're going down a rabbit hole until somebody else tells you that you are. The next thing is cry if you need to, especially if you're a guy. This might need to come from a guy, but cry if you need to. It's really not that deep. If my dude were to cry in front of me, I wouldn't be like, ugh, you a bitch. I don't know if that's a fear that guys have, but I would wonder, like, what's wrong, and we could talk about it. But you're human. So the next thing is, don't ever feel bad for starting where you are, no matter how old you are. Um, I'm 30, and I used to feel really bad and really stupid for uh starting just where I was, not really having much and all that stuff. But now, 3 short years later, I'm cool. So never be afraid of starting where you are. As long as you're alive, you have time to enjoy your life. The next thing is, never ever be afraid of losing anyone more than losing yourself. So if you ever find that you're losing yourself in an effort to maintain any type of relationship with anybody, then that relationship is not worth it. It's just not, because you're not even you. So how can you even enjoy the relationship? The next thing is, keep yourself and your interests in mind. It is selfish, but it's not in a bad way, because motherfuckers is gonna be thinking about themselves. You might need to do the same thing. The next thing is, you can start to becoming the version of yourself that you always wanted to be. You can start right now. You ain't got to wait till New Year's. I know it's the end of the year. And it's like, oh, well, in 2020, no, bitch, right now, December 2019, you can start right now. The next thing is, picture what you look like at your absolute best whenever you're not thinking about nothing, or whenever you're thinking about, like, whenever you have downtime, picture what you will look like at your absolute best, and get more and more, just, I don't want to say specific with it, but have fun with it. You can't get it wrong. The next thing is, spend time alone doing stuff you love and have a good time with yourself. After you spend time with yourself, and it took me a minute to get used to spending time by myself, because I just didn't know what the fuck to do. I thought that shit was weird. When I first went out to eat by myself, oh my God, I was like just looking around thinking, I felt like a teenager. Like, everybody's looking at me. Well, didn't nobody give a goddamn about what I was doing. And eventually I got to enjoy it, going to the movies by myself and just anything. And when you start to have fun with yourself, you'll realize why other people have fun with you too. And you'll understand further why you shouldn't just kick it and spend time with anybody, because your energy is good. The next thing is, and it's pretty important, Work with what's working. Do not focus on what you don't have. Focus on what you do have. My homegirl Kat came over and I didn't have a goddamn thing in her refrigerator. She looked in that refrigerator and said, "Oh, you got quesadillas." I said, "Where do you see that?" She said, "Well, you have cheese and you have tortillas and you have sour cream." And the sour cream was bad, but either way, she saw what you could make. I opened the refrigerator and saw the light bulb. I didn't see anything. She saw stuff. I saw nothing. So it's all about your perspective. And I know it might be frustrating, and I'm talking about quesadillas, but I'm talking about life as well. And, in saying that, stop blaming others for where you are in life. I know it's frustrating because some family, parents, some nigga, some bitch might have put you in a financial or emotional situation that is unbecoming. But see what you have, wave the smoke away, let the dust settle, and say, okay, what do I have and what can I make with this? You'd be surprised at what you can make with this, whatever your this is. The next thing is, and I just feel like I need to talk about this because it was really random, but um, if you don't have a family, like a situation like mine where I'm, estranged from my biological family for the most part, start your new family. And if you're not estranged from your biological family, start your new family still. I was so shocked to see so many memes online talking about, oh, if your father and your husband are arguing, who you going home with? Bitch, in what world would you ever go home with your father? In what world? And you have a whole ass husband. Even if your husband is wrong, you go home to your husband and say, babe, I see where my dad, but you go home with. And then there was another meme that said, a poll, and I mean like a real poll where people really had to ask this. Do you think it's okay for a man to defend his wife against insults from his family? Like, she is his family. That's just my opinion. The mom is no longer the man's priority. The wife is. Period. That's just my opinion. Um, the next thing is, and we're on our way out, is examine the way in which you were raised to see if it coincides with the way you want to grow. If you listen to the first two episodes of this podcast, then you know that obviously I was not okay with the way that I was brought up, but I'm alive, so I can undo all that shit that they did, and I won't say all. I can undo all the shit that they did that I wasn't okay, that adult me is not okay with, and redo it, retrain, reparent myself, and you are capable of doing the same. The very, very last thing I want to say is I love everybody who has ever wronged me. I hold no grudges. That doesn't mean that I'm a fuck with you just because I've forgiven you. It just means that I have mercy and compassion so that to the point where if I see somebody I don't fuck with name or hear their voice or see them on TV or whatever, I'm not like, I'm grown. Like, who? I don't want to continue that. So I have forgiven them. I've let it go. And, here we are. Um, I try to exchange love and patience. I'm sorry, for I try to exchange love and patience for judgment because I would want somebody to do the same for me if I ever fucked up. You are creating a new you and you cannot get it wrong, so you might as well have some fun with it. I love you guys, and I will not see you guys next week, but you guys will hopefully hear from me next week. Take care.